Hey, what's up? Welcome to the stream. I'm just getting everything set up, so give me 1 second. Alright, what's up, everybody? All 2 of you that just joined. What's new? Four people now. I have to just reading up on we're getting a Spider-Man pre-order bonus, and I just tweeted out a little while ago. Kind of cool. Get like 3 skins and a bunch of other stuff. What's everybody playing? I got a bunch of sales I gotta do. What's up, David? I just got into a stupid Twitter debate about physical versus digital. I'm getting so tired of the physical digital debate. It's so stupid. Drives me bonkers. I'm just so tired of people like, if you like digital, that's great. But, like, it's almost like people that are in love with digital, like, they're rooting for physical to fail. And trust me, I know physical's like a shrinking market, but there's always going to be a market for some people to want to have physical stuff. But it's getting so old and boring. It's the same debate every time. I feel like Groundhog Day whenever I'm debating physical versus digital. And they always say they own their digital games, and you do not. You do not own your digital games. Any digital software, you really don't own. Right, and not just that. I mean, it's nice to collect. You really can't collect digital. But I'm so sick of the argument. It's just it's the same argument every time. And I tell them they don't own it. I own it. Like, can you sell it? No. Then you don't own it. Can you give it to somebody? You don't even have to sell it. Can you just give it to somebody? No. You don't own it. That's not ownership. It's just the whole. I go through this argument all the time, and it's like the same. It's literally like Groundhog Day. It's the same argument all the time. If you don't like digital, I mean, if you don't like physical, it's fine. I don't care. I agree with you on that, David. Yeah, even if it's an online only game, it's almost. Honestly, it's pointless to have a physical version. I agree with you on that. Yeah, there's no point if it's an online only game. I agree with you. I don't even think they should make them on a disc if it's an online only game, like something like Destiny. There's no offline campaign. There's no point to have it. I completely. And here's the thing: I'm not anti-digital. I know how convenient digital is. I always get the same arguments. Oh, it's way more convenient. It takes up less space. I get the same like arguments all the time. And I agree with the new Call of Duty. Yeah, I agree with all of that, except for the fact that you don't own it. And that's the only thing I want for digital. I want to be able to give it to somebody. I want to be able to resell it. It's so frustrating. And it's funny because I get teamed up on online when I get into these debates, and it's so silly. They're literally everybody that argues like against physical. You're literally arguing that you like having less rights. Yeah, I know, Crow. I'm so sick of it. It's the dumbest argument in the world, Crow. Oh. And Michelle is so damn opinionated on it, and she always swears that she owns it, and she doesn't. You don't own it. David, I don't know about that. I wasn't so sure. I don't think Microsoft was going to let you transfer your licenses. I think eventually we will. I actually, I hope someday down the road, I think if everything does eventually go all digital, which would suck, until you get the day where you actually own the stuff, I don't see anything going all digital. I think people get stuck up on ownership. I mean, there's even stuff like, I was just reading an article, it was from a couple years ago, where it was John Deere of all things. They basically wouldn't let farmers repair their tractors because you had to go to a John Deere dealership because of the software that was running in the tractor. They said you couldn't mess with it. It was illegal. You technically didn't own the tractor. You were mainly licensing it to use on your farm, even though you paid the full value for the tractor. What's up, little French lady? So stupid. You know what's funny about that, though, David? Guess what they're still selling? They're still selling records at Best Buy. Even though they stopped selling CDs, they sell records because records sell better. So that tells you, like right there, there's still a market. People like to collect stuff. N64 with the box. I don't have one boxed at the moment. N64's loose. Usually go for about 70 or 80 bucks right now. Oh my god, I forgot about this trailer. I hate this trailer. That's the Last of Us trailer. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's the same reason, like, the only reason these things exist. I mean, there's no reason for this to exist. You can emulate all these like much easier and quicker. The only reason that exists is to collect. Well, picture me. There's so many different, like, it depends which one it is. If it's one of the colored ones, it's going to be a lot more. If it's just a basic one in a box, and if it has a game or not, it's going to be more. I would say the box usually almost doubles the value. Not doubles, but I would say you're going to pay over $100 easy with a box on an N64. But then it just depends which one it is. Train simulator. Not much, G3. What are you up to? Haven't seen you in a while. I got an Xbox One X traded in today, David. My first here. We've got a couple at our other store. The first one here, I got an Xbox One X traded in. Red looking, that's the watermelon one. It's more of a pink looking color, but yeah. Those are worth more. I'm just guessing. I'd have to look, probably like 120 to 150, somewhere in that range. That's what the retail price would be. Somebody selling it might be selling it a lot less. I do play a lot of Switch. Martin, there's always bundles. I'm sure Microsoft will do a bunch of bundles. Did you guys see the rumor about Microsoft's new system? It's called Codename Scarlet. I'm sure David did. But supposedly they have two versions of it coming out. And one's going to be a traditional console, and the other one's going to be a streaming console. just accidentally disconnected my app. Hopefully the music doesn't start back up. Well, I'll turn the music off. My bad, guys. Did I have that music on the whole time? Krell, the only thing about the second console is like places that have bad internet or not fantastic internet. You're going to need fantastic internet for a streaming console. It just doesn't. Streaming consoles. I mean, the PS4 does PlayStation Now, right? And the streaming on that's okay, but it really runs at about 720p. It doesn't look the greatest, and they like Digital Foundry did a whole video on it. And the best case scenario, they still had over 100 milliseconds for input lag, and that was like on best case scenario. I just don't. The internet's just not there yet. It is for some places, but I don't know why you'd make that's probably why they have two. But you can't really make a product. It's not. The majority of the world doesn't have internet good enough for it. And I will say my internet sucks at my house, and I'll tell you, a lot of people, the internet sucks so bad where I live that a lot of people don't even get it. They just do internet on their phone, and it's good enough to stream Netflix or something. You wish you could stream in our store. What kind of store you have? Fukujama? Yeah. What's funny about the PSP Go, David? We didn't carry it. We had a couple traded in over the time, but we didn't carry it because it was digital only. There was no point to us. We didn't make any money on the system, so we didn't carry it. We knew it would fail. It failed really quick. I don't think it would fail like that. I think people are a little more open to that now. I'm pretty sure that's Beyond Good and Evil, a trailer for the new Beyond Good and Evil. But yeah, the new Microsoft, we'll see. It's codename Scarlet. I don't like that name. It reminds me of the Scarlet Letter, and that wasn't a good thing. We'll see. We'll see how it is. As long as they have a traditional one too, it'll be all right. Yeah, David, that's stupid. I'm not happy about that. I'm never going to ride that ride unless, what I'll do is I'll probably put my phone in my pocket and just say I don't have one. And I just won't ever get it out. You work at an Apple premium reseller. Sweet. That's cool. Welcome, Fukujama. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Cedar Point is like, it has a bunch of roller coasters. It's like world famous for roller coasters. I live 5 minutes from there. I ride the roller coasters all the time. And they made a new policy where you can't have a cell phone even in line. They won't even let you have a cell phone in line. So you could be in line for a couple hours and not have your cell phone. Yeah, just before you go up there, David, put your phone in your pocket, lock it up. I'm not paying for a locker. And you know what's stupid about that, David? Why not put a locker, like a lot of the roller coasters have a little bin that you put your stuff in before you get on? Why not do that? Or have a little, bag that you put everything in. Like Disney, when you go on a roller coaster, they usually have bags and you can put them in there and zip them up. It's so dumb. I think they're just trying to get more money and it's stupid. Did you hear what else happened at Cedar Point yesterday? A teenager got arrested because he threw a bottle of hot sauce at the train, at the Steel Vengeance train as it was going by, and got hot sauce all over people. How's it going? Did you need help with anything? All right. If you hear me randomly talking up here, don't think I'm crazy. I'm streaming online, and people are asking me questions. So
cool.
Yeah. I'm not crazy, David. Someone just said, "No, you're crazy." So, yeah. They're afraid, I guess, at one of their other parks, G3, that somebody was holding a phone in their hand and they dropped it. It came out and it hit another person in the face on the roller coaster. So now they're like being over cautious. I will tell you that's the one bad thing about Cedar Point is they are super over cautious on everything, which it's good, but it's also bad. Like if you go to Disney, they aren't as as cautious as they are at Cedar Point, and Disney has probably like, I don't know, 1,000 times more people every day. The troll. Oh, you're on it, Carl? I wasn't even. It must not be popping up my. Oh, okay. You guys are getting them good. It's catching most of them, I see, because they're not even popping up on here. Good job, guys. What is up with the trolls lately in my stream? I'm getting bombarded by trolls lately. One second. My dedicated fans, yeah. There's a lot of trolls lately. It's so crazy. You should see the list. It keeps a list of everybody banned. It's freaking huge. I can turn those on if you want. I want to play them. All right. So, does anybody in here actually reserve Spider-Man anywhere? I think, Krell, my next podcast, by the way, is going to be about reserving video games. And I'm sure they're going to talk about it on VGO tonight. And for those of you guys that don't know, I do a podcast on Video Game Outsiders. If you go to their site, they do a live podcast every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. You can go to videogameoutsiders.com. I'm not on it tonight. I'm on it next week, but I do my own podcast on the side. But you can only get it through their app. It's you got to get it in their Play Store or the Apple Store. So look up Video Game Outsiders. Look up Video Game Outsiders either on the Play Store or the Apple Store. But I'm sure they're going to talk about reserving games on Amazon and stuff like that. The Resident Evil 2 collectors, GameStop only. That's cool. Yeah, they do get some GameStop only collectors. You know, I got a pretty good Spider-Man pre-order bonus. Here, let me tell you guys what it is. So on the Spider-Man pre-order bonus, you get, you get the Spidey suit pack. You gain you subscribe, do I get a free game? Sir, you missed it. It was yesterday. You got a free game. I'm just kidding. No, sorry. The Spidey, thank you for subscribing, though. You get the Spidey suit pack. You gain instant in-game access to 3 suits that alter your appearance as well as your attribute. 5 extra skill points. Early unlock of the Spider drone gadget. You get a Spider-Man 4 custom theme. It's made by artwork from the legendary comic book Adi Granov. And a Spider-Man PlayStation Network avatar. Am I tired of games a bit? No, actually, I love video games, but I am getting tired of some people. That I'm tired with some people. I'm tired of Martin. I was just talking about it earlier. I am talking about. I'm tired of having the whole digital versus physical argument. Krell, I talked about that a little bit on the one podcast. I do my one. I have my discount card here locally at the store, and if you as people come in, they get reward points. You get a reward. I can't speak today. You get a reward point just for coming in, and if you save them up, you get like at 10, you get $5 off. At 15, you get like $20 off. So if you just save up those points before the game comes out, you get that same discount that you would get on Amazon, pretty much. G3, it is a little bit, but it's not as much as people think. I mean, we're doing okay. There's always going to be a market for physical. Is the physical market shrinking? Yes, it's shrinking, but there's always going to be a need for physical. Like, why do you think stuff like this even sells? Like the NES Classic. Because people like to collect stuff. There's really no reason for this to exist. Yeah, that is true, Urban. Yeah, that's the thing. I am not anti-digital, and I always get painted in that I'm anti-digital. By the way, the Spider-Man suits are awesome, and one of them's the Avenger suit. You really can't see it on there. Sorry, my phone. I'm not anti-digital. I just want to be able to resell digital games. I really thought by now I'd be buying and selling digital as well as physical. So dumb that you don't own your digital games. I was doing a whole thing like, you know, your Steam, for example, you can't transfer your library. So basically, anything digital is, I mean, Apple, Amazon, a lot of people don't realize this. Like, if you die, you can't pass it on. Not that you care because you'll be dead, but if you have kids like me, you would like to be able to pass all your digital stuff onto them. Hopefully laws will change here soon. I don't think it'll be soon, but hopefully laws will change. I mean, Martin, it's super convenient. I mean, digital has a lot of advantages over physical. I think people would be more willing to go to a more digital only if you actually owned it. Krell, the only thing about that, though, check my Twitter. I just posted a video a little bit ago, and somebody actually contacted Steam about doing that, and Steam basically told them they couldn't. They deal with it on a case-by-case basis. So they don't have to. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They legally don't have to. Even if you will it, they don't have to. It's just crazy that you don't really own that that digital stuff. Carl, you gonna be on the podcast tonight? You gonna be checking in? I want to be on the podcast tonight. I'm like ready to fight with Michelle and John and about the whole reserving on Amazon. Most likely, my podcast is gonna be about that because I'm sure they're gonna piss me off tonight when they talk about it because they like don't believe me on how reservations work. It's weird. You can reserve. What I'm talking about right now is there's some kind of dispute going on with Amazon and Sony, and like right now you can't reserve any Sony first party games physically. You can reserve some of them digitally, like they're reserving Spider-Man digitally. But I really think it has to. I should have been on this week, Crow, but I think it has to do with. I'm pretty sure this is probably, I'm going to summarize it. This is probably how it went down. Amazon does that 20% off if you pre-order, right? They're most likely losing money on some of those games because 20% off is about what you make on a new game. How's it going? Oh, it's youtube.com/CC Games CEO. Yeah, so it's just like our store name, just CC Games and then CEO. Yep. No problem. Thanks for checking it out. So like I was saying, there's some kind of dispute because you can't reserve any Sony first party games. Where I made the mistake is I noticed it's hard to even get first party systems, and another guy on Twitter, Ty, he said his friend reserved the Spider-Man system. I tried to reserve it myself, and I never saw it available. So I said I didn't believe him, but he actually did. He reserved it, so they must have got a small amount of systems. Systems kind of make sense because you don't make any money on new systems when you run a game, when you own a game store or whatever, anywhere. Amazon doesn't make any money on game systems. Walmart doesn't make any money on game systems. Nobody does. They're sold at cost. But video games, the games, you make about 20%. Amazon is giving the 20% discount if you have Prime. I I bet they went to Sony and they probably asked for a better deal on their game so that they would still be making a little bit of money. They're probably losing a little bit of money. I will tell you, Sony first-party games cost a little bit more than some of the third-party games, which is kind of ridiculous, honestly, because Sony, it should be a little cheaper. But like Spider-Man, for example, $60 game, I probably pay around just over $50 for it. If you're on Amazon Prime, and I mean Amazon's probably paying a little bit less because I'm going through a distributor, but they stopped taking reserves because I think they're losing money on that 20% off. Now watch, after Spider-Man comes out, they'll probably have it in stock, but they're not doing it to. I remember that too, David. But like no Sony first party games, and they're arguing with me. They're like, oh, that's just because PlayStation 4 is in demand, and that's not the way pre-books work. Like when I pre-book a game, for example, my distributor, Sony gives them a date, and the date right now on Spider-Man is August 7th. So they take orders. Sony takes orders up until August 7th. On August 7th, they cut it off. You have to have your orders in by August 7th. And you put your orders in. I'm sure it's the exact same for Amazon. Amazon puts however many they reserved, and then they probably estimate how many more they'll sell on top of that. And then Sony makes the discs. That's like how it works. When they say it's going gold, that's why they say you got to have your orders in, because it goes gold like about a month before. Usually it's about a month to a month and a half before a game comes out. They cut off pre-orders, and they do that for everybody. And like, you know, what do I know? I've only been selling games for 20-something years. I don't know what I'm talking about. David, I agree with you. Limited run's stupid. I hate limited run. I hate how they operate. And I've actually texted them, why don't you guys take pre-orders, and then like have people just pay in advance. You can charge the full amount, and then you know how many you got to make. Instead, limited run, what they do is they sign a contract with somebody. They'll say, oh, we're going to make like 1,000 games. And then when they open it up, they're like gone like that. Limited run, though, they should take people's money ahead of time so they know how many they need to make. But that's the way it works with every game. And then I heard the arguments on the pre-orders. Well, they sold out really quick, and that doesn't make sense. For Sony, yeah, PS4s are loud, Martin. Even the pros. It doesn't make sense that they would stop, cut off Amazon's orders, because a lot of people don't know this, but Sony makes the discs for themselves, and they make the discs for all the Sony makes every PS4 disc Sony makes, no matter who makes it. So they would actually, you can reserve any other game on Amazon, any other PS4 game, any third-party game. You just can't reserve first-party games. And Sony would always put their disc priority over third-party discs. Well, and here's the thing about Sony. Like, if Amazon went to them and said, we need more, we need a better deal, Sony basically probably told them to F off. Like, we're not giving you a better deal. And it's really not a big deal to Sony, because if the less physical games people buy on Amazon, they're just going to buy it digitally. So they'll probably sell more digital copies. So I don't think it's going to hurt Sony by not having Amazon sell physical versions. And actually, the whole thing about this argument is stupid, because I really don't care. It's actually better for me. I've gotten a lot more reservations for games because people can't reserve them on Amazon. So I like this. I wish you couldn't reserve any games on Amazon. I would love to see Amazon get rid of their 20% off. I know you guys wouldn't. But for me, it would be better. Business-wise. Dolomite, it does look like it. I will tell you, I don't know how rare yet. I think you can still reserve them some places. I would, if you're thinking about getting one, I would get a reserve in at some major retailer other than Amazon. Amazon was like out like that. I didn't even see them available, but I guess they were available for about an hour or so. If you can get a reserve in somewhere, I would. I am not taking any reserves on them because I really have no idea how many I'm going to be able to get. So I would tell you on something like that, I'll probably be lucky to get like 5 or 6 of them. And so generally I just don't take a reservation until I know how many I'm going to get. Martin, I doubt it. I don't know. They might redesign the Pro, but I doubt it. I mean, the Pro's only been out like it's in Martin. It depends on the game too. Some games are louder than others, so some games the fan really cranks up. I will tell you, I noticed on Battlefield, the fan runs a little bit louder for me. It doesn't bother me that much, but I hear people say it bothers them a lot. I mean, how long till the PS5? I actually think both the PS5 and whatever Microsoft's next system, I think it'll be out in 2020. I would love to see one come out next year, but I doubt that happens. I think they'll both come out 2020. I think Microsoft has pretty much conceded they've lost this round, and they're determined to come out with something before Sony. I don't think there'll be any more Pro revisions. We'll see. Maybe they'll make a smaller Pro. I like my Pro, but it is a little loud. You guys just stop talking. Yeah, a Slim Pro. Yeah. Oh God. There were a lot of people don't realize there were like 9 versions of the PS3, like 9 or 10 almost. It was crazy how many PS3s there were. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of Beverly Hills. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. Supposedly there's 2 versions. There's like a streaming version, and then there's a regular console version. We'll see. I don't think the world's ready for a streaming console yet. I just don't think the internet's there yet. It is in some places, but like bigger cities and stuff like that. But I think it's funny. Speaking of a streaming console, every time a big AAA online game comes out, like Call of Duty, for example, what happens the first couple days? It like the service sucks, multiplayer is all broken, everybody bitches. I can only imagine what a console would be if it was streaming only when it all comes out. Like something like Xbox, if it was streaming only and everybody got it, and it was like that. I don't know. Plus, by being like an online only system, you're kind of limited in your market. So I know a lot of people around here that wouldn't get one. It's PlayStation Now original user, and yeah, it's slow and it's glitchy, and it's low res too. It's like 720p. It's kind of like watching a Netflix, like watching a YouTube video. Sometimes it gets grainy and stuff. The Destiny version would probably be a little bit better, but off the top of my head, I think it's not a ton. That's a 500 gig. Is that a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte Dolomite? When the technical progress is bigger. Yeah, but we just need better internet. Most of the world doesn't have good internet. I mean, the majority of the world does not have good internet. 500. I'll check, but I don't know off the top of my head. One second. When I'm streaming, my computer's a little slow. Oh, I'm also getting Fallout 76 pre-order bonus too. Oh, well, the beta for Fallout 76. If you reserve it, they're being weird about the beta. Fiber optic cable from Google. I'm sure it's awesome. We don't have that around here. And where I live, I only have one ISP, and it's terrible. Fallout, they're being really weird. Like I actually have to. It's so bizarre. When I take reserves now, I'm almost not comfortable doing this. I have to send the names of the people that are reserving it to Bethesda. It's weird. Like they're asking for their information. I feel stupid. It's weird collecting. I don't want to collect information on people. It's so bizarre. But to get that, it's like you got to give up your. I have to do it to get the reservation. If people reserve it, they have to give me their name, and I have to send that to Bethesda. It's so weird. I've never had that requirement. I mean, I keep their names, but I don't like giving information to a third party. Krill, I do. I would love to, but I found out. I found out the company that is my ISP has a deal with the local government, so they have a deal. There's no competition. There's no competition going to be coming in because they have this exclusive rights deal. So there's not much I can do. I'm screwed. And they know it too, and they give you shitty quality, and they know there's nothing you can do about it. It's high priced, and it's shitty. What's up, Scooter? Why is this not coming up? Sorry, my internet is being slow. Scooter, I saw you. You're gonna get yelled at by Nightbot for spamming. I'm still waiting on that trade-in. I hope so. You know what's funny is I always say that the second there'll be that there's some kind of competition for my ISP, they'll like change and they'll get better. Wow, the internet is being slow here. All right, I'm looking up the Destiny one, but it's taking a while. I hope so. I hope it gets better. My internet blows. I really want to stream more, but sometimes my internet just, it's been pissing me off lately. That's why I haven't streamed a lot from home. I can't seem to get it running properly. It's probably because it's so crappy. Like here, I have pretty good upload speed, so it streams pretty good at my store, but at my house, it sucks. PlayStation 4, that one is about 150. The Destiny one to trade in. All right. It is 7 o'clock. You guys can keep asking me questions, but I am going to. I gotta lock up. There was a point where I didn't even think my area was going to get broadband. I was like that. Yeah, just. What's my okay? You have 2.5. I have 3 up. At my house, I have 3 up and 50 down, and that's one of the highest. There's one higher than what I have, and it's 100 down, and it's only 5 up. My problem is my upload. My upload sucks. But the 105 is a lot more expensive, and it still doesn't have. It's still not unlimited. I even have a data cap. So I didn't want to pay for the 105 when it's really not that big of a difference. So I'm paying way too much for 50 and 3, which is just stupid. So I hate my internet provider. Hello? You're talking terabytes. I have 250 gigabytes per month. Gigabytes, not terabytes. I wish I had a terabyte. That's another reason, like, right here, what I'm talking about is another reason why streaming console is not really that great. A lot of people have crappy internet, myself included. So, all right, I'm gonna keep answering your question. You guys can keep talking to me, but I'm gonna be closing up here as I close out. Do I have the new update? What update are you talking about, Iroquois? What's in the box next to the Genesis? It's actually not a box, Krell. It's a power pad. It's just folded and it says power pad, and it actually has a repro game in there, but it's what is it called? Oh, Tailgate Party. It's got a repro. Somebody had a repro game with it, so I'm selling the power pad. I'm just basically giving them the repro game, but it's a homebrew game called Tailgate Party. Yeah, it's the power pad from the other day. I folded it and I shrink wrapped it and I threw it up there. So yeah, that's what it is. Mystery solved. But look up that Tailgate Party. It's pretty good. Yeah, Nintendo has been hitting the ROM sites. It's pretty funny. I notice that stuff all the time too, Krell. I always point out. I look for that type of stuff, and I always point it out to people. I'm surprised you didn't notice the NES Classic like up here. What is the biggest disappointment this current gen to me? You know, there's a lot of disappointments. I would tell you, for me personally, my biggest disappointment, just in general, is I'll probably talk about this a little bit on my podcast. I'm kind of big into sports games, and sports games suck right now. If you're a sports gamer, and I've talked about this before, it just sucks to be a sports gamer. Yeah, I'm out of PS4 new at the moment, Krell. It just sucks to be a sports gamer. I mean, really, you get like really one good version of everything. NFL, there's only Madden. There's no college football anymore. NBA, there are two things. You get NBA Live and NBA 2K, but really NBA Live blows. There's no boxing games anymore. There's really no arcade sports games anymore. What's up, Delv? You nerd. There's no like NBA Jams. There's no NFL Streets and NFL Blitzes. There's just not much. No NCAA of anything. No basketball. No football. A lot of people like art, Troy. I've always been big into sports games, and it just kind of sucks. There's just nothing. It's really depressing if you're into sports games. And sports games were always a big, huge reason to have a console. And there's just nothing. It just sucks. I was playing NFL 2K5 last night, and I played All Pro Football 2K5. I still think it's better than Madden to this day. City Skylines, Delve plays that all the time. I love Fight Night. I'm kind of shocked. They made Fight Night backwards compatible on Xbox One, so Fight Night Champion works on Xbox One now, but that's like almost 10 years old. So that's probably one of my biggest disappointments as a gamer. Just that in general, and that they make a lot less. I think there's too many. They're like everything is like AAA or indie, and there's like no like average games anymore. And there's not as many AAA games as there used to be, and I think there's way too many indie games. And every once in a while, an indie game is good, but women's volleyball is a popular game in Japan. And I wonder why in Japan. It's probably got some nice camera angles, Heckler, because of licensing and all that stuff. I wish somebody would just make a generic NCAA football game. It doesn't have to have the licenses to me. If they just, like, for example, I'm in Ohio. I'm an Ohio State fan. If they just named the team Columbus, Ohio, and they had, like, the red and the gray for the team, I'd be fine with that. Let me, fill in the rest. I wish somebody would just take, like, the NFL 2K game, the how it played and everything, and just make a generic game. I would be happy with generic games from now on. Even like a generic boxing game. I would take a generic boxing game from now on. Oh, Heckler, we sell that here. We imported that. The Dead or Alive Extreme. I actually have it out there on the wall. UFC, I'm not big into UFC, but, I mean, you get UFC instead. I'd rather have boxing. UFC's okay. UFC's decent, but it's not a huge seller here for us. But I just miss more of the sports games. So that's my little rant on sports games. That would be cool in VR. I would like even a new Punch-Out. A new Punch-Out would be great. I mean, you used to get. I was looking at a magazine the other day. Wrestling, for example. There's only one wrestling game, even though Fire Pro Wrestling is coming out. You must be from that school up north, Dolomite. Anyhow. There is a Fire Pro Wrestling coming out next month. But really, you get WWE 2K. That's it anymore. But I was looking through an old magazine. It was like best wrestling game, and there were like 8 different wrestling games, and they picked which one was the best. It was like best NFL, best football game, and there was all these college football games. There were all these NFL football games. You used to get like all kinds of. I used to have best basketball game. There's all kinds of basketball games. It was crazy. You used to get all this. Everybody had like an NFL game. Everybody had a basketball game. You used to just get a lot more choice, and now you really don't get any. Yeah, I mean, like I was talking about any SNES, that era where there used to be all these, and a lot of them sucked, but there were some good ones. Like Tecmo Bowl and Madden was always good back then. The WCW versus NWO, that was a great wrestling game. All those Aki wrestling games used to get oddball ones too, like the muscle wrestling games. What's up, Corduroy Cowboy? I gotta go get my paperwork. You just don't get that stuff anymore. It just sucks. So yeah, that was an old one though. That's like a couple-year-old one. It is pretty cool. I mean, WWE is pretty cool, but I would like some some choice. I'm glad Fire Pro's coming out. I'm gonna get Fire Pro. I'll be getting the new Fire Pro. I love Fire Pro Wrestling, so I was excited to see that. The only thing that sucks about Fire Pro, it's like $50 on PS4. What's up, Haddock? Yeah, there's not many racing games either. That's another one. I miss arcade racing games. My favorite racing game, well, one of my favorite racing games was MotoStorm on PS3, and they stopped making it. I love that game. I want a new MotoStorm. Sony, if anybody from Sony is watching, make a new freaking MotoStorm. That game was awesome. The thing that sucked about, the thing that killed MotoStorm was the last one before it came out. I've said this before, but before it came out, there was like a tsunami in Japan, and there was a lot of like an earthquake, and a lot of people died. And if you don't know about the last MotoStorm, it was all about you would race, and then while you were racing, stuff would happen like an earthquake or like tornadoes, and you were racing through all the mayhem that was going on. And so they delayed that game because it was about to come out right after all that happened, and they didn't want the negative publicity for it. So they delayed it like 6 months, and then when they did come out, they didn't even advertise it or anything, and it just didn't sell that well, and then they just let it go away. Carl, there's so many games that companies let fizzle out, and they just like let their IPs die. Like Steam, for example, Valve never making another Left 4 Dead or a new Half-Life. It's so dumb. I know why, because Steam makes so much money, but they should really just let somebody else make a new Half-Life or let somebody else make a new Left 4 Dead. Like, license out the property. You can overlook it and quality control it, but let somebody else do it. It's so dumb that they just let it die. They're just letting their properties die. It makes no sense to me. Yeah, Blur. I was kind of excited. I got Onrush. Onrush just came out not too long ago, but it's not doing well. I kind of liked it, but it's not doing so well. But see, they're never going to finish it because they don't care. They make so much money, Krell. They don't care. They make more money selling other people's games than making games. Have you ever seen the videos if Valve were completely honest? Look them up on YouTube. They're hilarious. If you haven't, if anybody in here hasn't seen them, look them up on YouTube. And you guys, tonight, 9 o'clock, go to videogameoutsiders.com, and I'm not on the podcast tonight, but it's a live podcast that you can interact with. They do it every Tuesday. I'm on it a lot. I'm on next week. I do my own podcast. Check it out. My podcast is only on their app. You have to download the app on Video Game Outsiders, either in the Play Store or on the iTunes Store. Look up Video Game Outsiders. My app's called the Game Store Guy. It's free. A new Dead Space, but they're not, because that's EA and they don't care about single player anymore, G3. I turned off my thing already, or I'd put the first MotorStorm trailer on. I just gotta wait for my system to back up. And I'll be out of here. So there's just too many games that companies let die, it's sad. One of my personal favorites, Capcom Power Stone. I love Power Stone. If you guys have watched some of my streams, I'm sure Krell has seen me stream Power Stone. I wish Capcom would bring that game back. Just put it on PS4 or Xbox One digitally. ATV, off-road, yeah. There's so many games now. Everybody's trying to do games as a service, and they're just kind of like single-player games are going bye-bye almost. That's why I said earlier, you only get a few AAA games, and then it's all indie games. And there's no just middle-of-the-road games anymore. And some of those middle-of-the-road games turn out to be big games down the road, but they start off as just kind of like a niche. Onimusha was a good one. Onimusha was awesome. There's so many good ones. We could sit here all day and think of games that they just let die. How about NBA Jam, NFL Blitz? I'm going back to sports games. Fight Night. It's funny, those are all owned by EA too. Everything is copy whatever the trend is. I agree. Tenchu is a great one. Love that game. Thanks, Dolan Bite. I'm gonna try. Tenchu was great. There's so many good games. God. How about Legacy of Kain? If you want to throw one back for a while. Any of you guys play Legacy of Kain? I love that game. The Legacy of Kain series, that was a good one. There's so many good ones. Nintendo has so many that they just let. Like, I know they're working on Metroid, but what's taking so long? I want another Metroid. I know they're working on it, but they didn't show it at all at E3 this year. They announced it last year. I was, for a while, Gravel. You know, I never played Gravel. It looked good, though. I heard it was good. For a while, I thought House of the Dead was dying, but they just made a new House of the Dead, but it's arcade only, and it's in this giant, huge cabinet. It's probably like a $20,000 arcade machine. I just saw the trailer for it the other day. I personally wanted a House of the Dead VR game. I think VR House of the Dead would be awesome. I think on-rail shooters are awesome for VR. Yeah, Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver was probably my favorite. Love Soul Reaver. Maybe I'll stream that on Dreamcast tonight. I have the Dreamcast version. Primal was pretty good. I remember that game. There's so many. I could just go out to the PS2 and just start picking out games. Like, why don't they make this anymore? It's kind of silly. It's sad when you look at all the old games. You're like, why don't they make this anymore? It's kind of depressing. Yeah, Virtual Cop, House of the Dead, Time Crisis, all those stuff was awesome. Well, the other thing too. Here's another one that kind of sucks. Just Star Wars in general. I know they make the Battlefront games, but before EA got the license to Star Wars, we used to get all kinds of Star Wars games. There used to be tons of Star Wars games. Like every year you would get multiple Star Wars games. God, I miss like the single player Star Wars games. And then EA, like, they got the license and they've made 2 in like 5 years. It's ridiculous. EA sucks. Jedi Knight, yeah, there were all kinds. There were so many Star Wars games that I've played over the years that I liked. There were a couple crappy ones. You always got a stinker Star Wars game every now and then, like the fighting game Master of Terra Kai or Kasi or whatever. And who could forget the Star Wars Kinect game? That was pretty bad. I'm actually looking at Jedi Knight Academy right now on Xbox because it's backwards compatible. The Star Wars, actually the 2D Star Wars games on SNES were awesome, but also there were some on Master System and NES that were really good too. The first 2, Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, were awesome. You don't mention the crap games, Krell? Yeah, those do suck. They were a little bit hard. They're not as hard. Like when you go back and play them now, they're not as bad as you remember. Some of the bosses were tough. Yeah, some of them are hard. But I don't know. Games are kind of I just feel like games are in a rut right now. I don't know why. I've been feeling that way for a while. So, Star Wars on N64 sweet, and the GameCube Star Wars was phenomenal. It's been a while. The Batman game that came out on PS4 and Xbox One was awesome, but they haven't made one since. I don't even know if they're working on one. There's so many games. Yeah, I mean, there's just... All right. Yeah, the GameCube Star Wars games were phenomenal, Crow. All right. I got to run. I got to go home, do some adulting. But I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. I might stream tonight after videogameoutsiders.com. So after the Video Game Outsiders podcast. So check me. I'll be on the Video Game Outsiders podcast. I don't know what happened to G Police. I'll be in the chat, Krell, because I know they're going to talk about shit that's going to piss me off, Krell. I wish I was on tonight because I know they're going to talk about the Amazon and Sony first party stuff. And they're wrong. I'm telling you, they're wrong. They're wrong, and they won't listen to me. I made the mistake of saying it was systems too, and it wasn't. So I was wrong on the systems. There's still something going on. So, all right, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.